Hello, my name is Ayana Majabay, and welcome to The Artist Pivot, a weekly conversation with artists about their current pivot, past pivots, and every pivot in between. On this episode, I am joined by Salisha Thomas, who is an actress, blogger, and former Disney vocalist. She was in Beautiful, the Carole King Musical on tour, as well as on Broadway, and a former Miss California. We discuss her having no sense of urgency to complete her own projects prior to the pandemic, and pivoting her priorities from career to family. Also discovering meditation during this time is like a vacation, and asking herself the question, who am I now, without a show attached to her identity? Here's our conversation. Well, hello there, Miss Salisha Thomas. How
Hey,
you doing?
girl, what is up?
You know, still in this quarantine.
Right. Where are you right now?
I'm in New Jersey.
Oh, okay. I made it out to California.
Got it.
So the beginning of this quarantine was not cute
Mm-hmm.
at all. And in fact, it was like a shock to the system. It's like being around people all day in a new job that I was excited about, and then like just wake up one day and the world is shutting down. And then the next day I got laid off after Broadway shut down. I'm like, oh my goodness, what do? We just go home? Like, what do you Ayana, like literally I went
Right.
home and Googled, what does it mean to stay home? Google was like, not leaving your house. Like, oh my gosh, is that where we're at? Yeah. But it's been nice out here in California, not gonna lie.
Because you're from Cali, right?
Yeah. Like I'm a New York City taxpayer. Like New York is my home, but like I grew up here in California, and so my family, they're down the street. And
Mm-hmm.
It's nice. Like
Uh-huh.
I like New York is my heart, but right now all the reasons why I love New York don't exist at the minute. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind taking a step away for a minute. I don't feel like I'm missing out. You know, I have the worst FOMO ever.
Right. That's fair. I think we're all kind of like that. We're like, well, we're not missing anything in New York right now.
Right.
As much
And
as we want to be there, we're not missing anything.
we can do all of these things in our homes. Like we're doing this podcast from 3,000 miles away. We're 3,000 miles away from each other. I'm like, ooh,
Mm-hmm.
auditions are like this. I'm like, I'm kind of liking this, not gonna lie.
Right. Me too, girl. I'm like, wait, I could do all of this from home. I don't have to be on the New York subway running from Ripley to
Right?
Actors Equity down to
I mean,
Chelsea. I don't gotta.
but I will say though, that is how I met you. And that is like a way to make friends. It's like when you are
Yes.
running all over the place and like seeing people in a building, like, and then you see the same faces.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, you're a familiar face. I like your spirit. Girl, let's be friends. Like,
Exactly. Yes.
so, I mean, I do miss that, but I'm not mad about this convenience though.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm not mad about it at all. And
Right.
it's just that, the hustle is different now.
Yeah.
The hustle's on a screen.
Yeah, it's like, how's your lighting setup? What kind of quality is your camera? Do you like what's your sound quality on your microphone? Like it's a different kind of hustle.
Yes,
Right.
it is. Because of this quarantine and New York shutting down and our industry shutting down, what have you now pivoted into and what are the skills you've learned because of this?
Okay, well, I will say like this quarantine has been a blessing in disguise. Like
Mm-hmm.
the thing with the quarantine, the thing with the pandemic is like people are still dying. It's not like, oh, everyone just go home and have vacation at home, staycation. Like, yeah, if you stay healthy. And so that is like always in the back of my mind, like can't be dumb. Don't go out and party, and do things that, still stay home. But God willing, assuming that you're staying healthy, it's been a huge blessing. I've finally gotten things like I've tapped into things that I've wanted to do for so long that I've not had any reason to like uproot my current state to do. When I was in Beautiful on tour and on Broadway, I didn't have a reason to start my blog.
Right.
I'm like, I'll do it later. I, like no sense of urgency. I was chillin'. And then eventually that show closed, and that was the first time that I was like, well, you still chilling?
Uh-huh.
And I did get another show, and then I worked for 11 days before the pandemic and everything officially took over, and now I've had even more time to like, okay, what is this? So I've been able to focus on, I've been writing a book for years, but when I started writing this book, it wasn't like, oh, I am writing a book. No, it was just like every day I just felt like writing, and I did not know what it was. And my friend was like, well, you don't have to know, just keep writing and maybe it'll turn into something. And it has. And so like I've finished it. Like I finished a draft of the
Yes.
manuscript.
Congrats.
Thank you. Thank you. Like
Yes.
it's still like the thing is I'm talking about things that I'm like, am I ready to talk about this publicly? Like I'm happy that
Mhm.
that I've got a draft done, but I'm like, am I ready to share it? But either way, like I've
Mhm.
taken a how to get published class at Gotham Writers. I'm like super excited
Mhm.
about it. Like, and finally started my blog. Finally set up a setup for voiceovers, which
Mhm.
I've been lazy about, and finally it's done. Those are like the main things, and also I would say pivoting my main priorities from work. Everything is about career to wait, no. How about family?
Yeah.
I hate that it took me a whole pandemic to be like, how's my family doing?
I mean, well, think about our industry. Those who aren't in it, I guess, not going to understand how we can sometimes be so consumed by it. And I'm not saying that it's good or bad. It's just that there are
Yeah.
moments when we do get consumed by it and we turn around and go, oh, wait a
Uh,
minute, I haven't checked in on my
w-
family.
right. And the way like Broadway is set up, 8 shows a week, that's 6 days a week. That does not leave you much time to make your friend's wedding, to make your dad's
Hmm.
retirement, to make like whatever. Like you got one day, and guess what? It's a Monday usually. Like,
Right. It's a Monday and you want to go to bed and sleep. Nobody call me. I'm not doing no press. I'm not doing nothing. I'm in
right.
bed.
Like no one is like scheduling their things on Mondays unless you're in the city and you're like,
Hmm.
okay, I'll put my cabaret on a Monday. It's like you miss so many things, but it's like when you're doing what you love and you have a family that is supportive, it's
Hmm.
easy to get lost in it.
Yes.
But this has been a good opportunity to repriorities, re- repriorities, reprioritize.
Reprioritize.
Like,
Reprioritize.
like what is actually important when you strip everything else away.
Hmm.
Guess what? March, April, and May, I was sitting in my studio apartment in Manhattan by myself.
Hmm.
That would be the dream under other circumstances. But when
Right.
you're not riding the train, you're not in Central Park with your friends, you're not going to Broadway every night. It's just me in a box.
Hmm.
This is a wake up call.
Right. Like, hello, wake up, y'all.
Wake up. Do I need a dog? Do I need a man? Shoot, where are my parents? Like
Yes. Right.
I mean, for real though.
After that, when June came around, you were like, maybe I should take a trip out to Cali and like be with my family.
Yeah, I wanted things to calm down a little bit because I didn't want to like travel out to California in the thick of like everything happening. Like at the end of May, it actually started to calm down just a little bit in the city. And so I was like, this might be a good chance, a good time to get on a plane because I've not wanted to do that. And
Hmm.
also like um I'm so blessed that I have a place to like quarantine away from my parents here in the city, or else I would not have come home. So many of my friends
Hmm.
went home right after everything happened in March and
Hmm.
got coronavirus, and then they gave it to their parents. And it's like all
Oh.
my friends and their families have been okay, thank
Hmm.
God, but like that is
Hmm.
scary.
Yes, it is.
I will
Yes, it
stay in my
is.
box by myself in New York if that means protecting my family, you know?
Yes. Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah. But no, there's a place for me to stay out here away from them, but like down the street. So thank you.
Got it. So,
Jesus.
right, you have your own space.
Yes.
Ooh, God, what this quarantine has brought up for us, like pivoting in the industry and pivoting your priorities as well. It's like, okay, yes, we can do things from home now, but also my family is now the priority.
Yep.
Um, but I
Yeah.
would ask you, how have you pivoted before this?
I would say like when Beautiful closed, because that show was a part of my life for 4 years. And
Mm,
before then, I was working at Disney, and Disney allowed me to like go do a regional show and then come back.
mm-hmm,
So, like,
mm-hmm,
I've been fortunate enough to always be employed. So, when Beautiful closed, that was the first time that I had to, like, all right, so Salish, like, like pep talking, you want to
mm-hmm,
be in this industry. You happened to be in a show that ran for a long time. But a lot of times shows do not last as long as that one did. Sometimes
mm-hmm,
a show is open for a month. Sometimes it's a year. Sometimes it's less than a year. So like that was the first time that I asked myself, is it realistic to just do Broadway with nothing else and make
mm-hmm,
a
mm-hmm.
living just doing Broadway? So that was the first time that I pivoted. I'm like, ooh, okay, maybe I should look into getting a commercial agent, um,
Mm-hmm.
and setting up things so that Broadway is not my only line of income. Because guess what? When it goes
Mm-hmm.
away, that's a scary thing. Right now I'm
Yeah.
okay, but like savings doesn't last forever. Like, do you
Girl,
know?
say that again.
Right? And so
Yep.
like that is like the first big pivot. Like, okay, I've got one line of income, but to make this industry realistic for me to keep paying my mortgage, which is not
Mm,
cheap, I'm going to need more
mm-hmm.
than one line of income. So if one thing goes away, that's okay because I
Right.
got these things over
Right.
here. Um, so that is like now at the forefront of my mind how to make that a thing. And then the other pivot in a whole different way is when George Floyd was murdered. Whew, and everybody's at home sitting on their couch with nowhere to go. Everybody had to sit
Mm-hmm.
and watch it. Like, obviously, I'm
Mm-hmm.
Black, you're Black. This is not new to us. But for the
Right.
rest of the world, they're like, oh my gosh,
Right.
what?
They're
Okay,
freaking out. And I'm like, y'all, this been happening.
this has been happening. I did sit and watch all 10 minutes of that video, and
Mm-hmm.
this did feel, I don't know, like a little different even for me.
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
was such a like, this is so blatant. Like,
Right.
something snapped in me. Something like a fire ignited in me. I'm like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
okay, so this now there is a line in the sand. What side are
Mm-hmm.
you on? It is not,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard for me to say because this election and everything, I don't want to even get into politics because it stirs up so many emotions. But when it comes to like, George Floyd could have been my dad. I
Mm-hmm.
am done playing games. Like in pageants, I've done so many pageants over the years and I've learned how to say my opinions on things and not offend anybody, and
Mm-hmm.
to walk the line and say it in such a way that you can hear my point of view, but it's in such a polite way and you're not offended and all these things. Well, this is something that like there is no walking the line. Like this is not okay. This is not okay. Like it is
Right.
time
There's
to
no polite
stand.
way.
Yeah, like it is time to stand up. Like
Mm-hmm.
and make a stand. Like this is important, not just because it's trending, not just because like Disney released a statement or because Ben and Jerry. No, it's important because like my family is Black. It's important because one day I might want to have kids and they're gonna be Black. They're gonna be,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
even if I marry or somebody who's not Black, they still gonna have my
They're
blood. It's
still
like
gonna be exactly.
they're still going to be Black to the world. And I cannot have people being murdered innocently just because of the color of their skin, because now that means that my future children's lives are on the line, period.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
that is like something that has definitely been sparked in me since all of this. Like I've not thought about it in those terms ever. I've
Mm-hmm.
always been the kid. And now I'm like over here knocking on 30. Guess what? Like I'm like I'm the grown up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm like I'm trying not to like blow my feed up with a bunch of stuff, but I do when I'm moved, I will put it on my stories, I'll put it on my page, and if you're not down, oh please unfollow me because
Hmm.
I'm not trying to like make you feel comfortable. Nope, no. Not right now.
I mean, yeah, there's no more comfort, no more, oh, maybe I shouldn't say this, or maybe I shouldn't speak up. Or like you said, in pageants, walking the line of like, here's
Walking the
my opinion, but
line.
I'm going to make sure not to offend anybody. Nope, we're not even
Right.
walking the line anymore.
No, we're not. And I know that like our candidates, and I don't really want to get into this. I'm so sorry that I'm even bringing this
Hmm.
up, but I know that our candidates are not perfect on the Democratic side. People have got a lot of problems with Kamala and all of these things, but
Hmm.
guess what? If you don't vote, it's going to be more hate. There's going to be more divisive. There's more people dying in the streets. So it's not a
Hmm.
it's hard. It's like
Yeah, it's hard, but it's just for me again. Okay, I'm just gonna say this and we'll move on. But for
and then we'll
me,
move
it's
on.
just, and then we'll move on. We'll move on. We're not gonna get into politics, but
Right, right,
it's
right.
just like I know people are like, well, I don't like this person, I don't like this person, I don't
Right.
like that, but I'm like,
Consider the
there is no
alternative.
option not to vote. This is
Right.
the thing. There is no option not to vote, period.
Exactly. And
So
even
you got to
Hill
pick one to vote for. Even if you got to
Yes!
hold your nose and
Hold your
mark down on
nose,
a pen,
just
close your
like
eyes, whatever you got to do to get through the vote, but you going to vote.
because this is not we're not our country is it's not good right now. And Hillary in her speech, she was like in this DNC, she was like, y'all, people have come up to me and they're like, I should have voted for you. She's like, this cannot be another time of shoulda, coulda, wouldas.
Yeah, yes. Yes. This cannot be another time.
180,000 people have died. Like that's too many. That's too many.
Jeez.
That's too
Mm,
many. And the
too
number is
many.
still growing. So like this is a time to like really make your voice heard.
Yeah.
And I like what
Yes.
I'm struggling with and like challenging myself with is like to approach it in love. Like there are people on the other
Mm-hmm.
side and not everybody is going to people just don't agree, especially right
People,
now.
right.
But if we
Right.
just keep like fighting and not listening to each other, then
Mm-hmm.
nothing will ever get solved. So it's like even though it is cringeworthy for me to listen to somebody who supports literally the opposite, standing next to the KKK, like trying to,
Mm-hmm.
like I still challenge myself to listen.
Right.
I
Right.
know, like
Listen, right. Listen. You're like, I don't agree with this, but
I don't
I need to try to
agree.
listen.
Yeah, like where are you coming from? Like, how does your brain work that you think this is okay?
Mm-hmm.
But like, if I can listen, maybe we can come to some kind of common ground. But
Right. Right.
it's a
We're gonna
challenge.
agree to disagree.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what it is. Agree to disagree. But we're gonna move on because we're about to get down the rabbit hole of politics. We're not gonna do that. Because all of our shows are shut down, whether it be Broadway, regional theater, the West
Yes,
End,
yeah.
I have friends out in Germany doing shows. We kind of get, and I'm going to speak for myself, I can kind of get, my identity wrapped up or attached to a show. So you're like,
Yeah.
yeah, right now I'm an actress and I'm in Hairspray or I'm in this
Yep.
or I'm in that. But now that we don't have a show to attach to our identity,
Yeah.
it was like a halt. You're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah, like, my building where I live in New York was under construction, like, the entrance was under construction for so long, and I saw the contractor almost every day, and one day
Mhm.
he spoke to me, he's like I don't have a good Irish accent, but he was like,
Mhm.
"You're the actress."
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, I guess I am." Like, ooh,
Mhm.
and it felt so good to be the actress in the building, like but that's the thing, it's like, that can't be our identity because what happens when it's stripped away?
Mhm.
Who are we now?
Mhm.
Like,
Right.
n does that mean that we're nobody? Does that mean that we're worthless? Useless? Uh-uh, but we've gotta figure out who we are without titles, without, like, the thing that we do, not doing it on a
Mhm.
daily basis or on a regular basis.
Mhm.
Now who are we? And so,
Right.
like, that has been I will say that I have had a positive experience investigating that
Mhm.
because it's not I don't feel alone, like that I'm the
Right.
only one trying to figure it out right now. I do feel like there's a lot of people who have lost their jobs And right now, our whole industry is obliterated. It's
Mhm.
like I'm not the only one. It's not like, oh, I did a bad job, and now like, what am I? No, it's like, no, we're all going through this together. And so I have found other things like blogging and writing, but like
Mm.
I'm trying to be careful to not be the writer.
Yeah, yeah.
To be the blogger, to be, it's like, how can I go forth without continually finding peace in
Mhm.
like these title like
The titles, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, what do you think? How do you feel about this?
I actually heard the other day someone really put this into perspective for me, and her name is
Audra McDonald.
Audra McDonald puts everything into perspective, but that's a whole 'nother story. But I was, watching a webinar, and this young lady named Sandra Garcia was on, and she is a Black woman who has this marketing and branding company, and doing this webinar with her, and she's talking about you are the tree. So basically, think of yourself like Ayanna Bay or Salisha Thomas. You are the tree. You are the trunk of the tree. That is who you are. That is your identity, your name, and the things that people think about when they hear your name is your identity. So like when I think about you, Salisha, I think about joy. I think about love. I think about a
Oh,
smiling face, like, oh, just a
yes,
warm
thank
presence.
you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. But that's what I think about when I think of you. So she's like, that's your first identity. Like, let's go back to that. When someone says your name, what do you want them to
Yeah.
think about you? And so it's that, and then continuing, you're an actress. So that's another branch of you, of the tree, but you are the trunk. So there's the actress
Right.
branch. There's the writer branch, there's the blogger branch. For me it's
Yeah.
now the actress, but the voiceover branch now, and the podcaster branch.
Yes.
But I
Yeah.
am still the trunk of the
Of the
tree.
tree.
And so even if I were to take a branch away and cut a branch off, okay,
You're
that's
still
fine.
you.
I'm still me. Or if another branch flourishes while not necessarily ignoring one branch, but the other one, has a couple more leaves than one,
Yes.
doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Still the tree. So when I heard that on a webinar with her, I was like, thank you, sis. Like, thank you for
Ooh.
that information.
You know what? I love that.
Mhm. Yeah, and so I'm now starting to try to live in that space, cuz yeah, my identity was definitely connected to, oh, I'm an actress.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm a this. Oh, I'm a that.
Right.
Which I still am, but I don't know when the next time I'm gonna get on stage,
Oh,
and that's what I love doing.
right. You know what? So along with this thought, so what that you've just said with the tree trunk and the branches, I have found in meditation that when I'm
Mhm.
actually like in it, that is kind of how I feel like there could it might be a loose connection. I see the pictures in my head,
Mhm.
but I don't know if I'll be able to articulate it clearly. Like
Yeah.
there can be a million things happening around me and the world and the chaos that it is in, but like when I'm meditating and when I'm actually able to shut off the noise and go inward, there is an
Mhm.
inner peace that like no matter what the actual circumstances are, oh, I just lost my job, oh, what's going to happen, the people around me are getting sick, like no matter what's happening around, like in that moment, in the present moment, we have such a gift, the
Mhm.
present, not thinking about the past, worrying about the future, but right here, right now. Think about it. Like
Mhm.
all my needs are met. Right now, right now,
Right.
all of my needs are met.
Mhm.
And whenever I am able to ground myself and remember that, it makes me feel like I don't know how to connect this, but that's the trunk of my peace.
Right. Yeah,
the,
yeah, yeah, that's the trunk of your tree.
the trunk of my tree, like the base of my piece of like, yeah, things can be all over the place in the world, in even in my personal circle, but what about right now, right here, right now? Like close your eyes and just breathe. You got breath in your body?
Mhm.
I have found so much peace in meditation. I've not meditated ever before this pandemic.
Yeah.
Now I do it every day. I do it every day. I love it. It's like an
Mhm.
instant vacation. I had no idea how many channels are playing in my head at once. Ayana, like seriously, I am thinking at least 7 different things, and I always have a song playing in the background in my head. Like, and sometimes a different channel is turned up louder than the other, but there are so many things that I'm thinking about at once. And here's the thing, I love to think. So it's never anything that's bothered me. But when I learned how
Mhm.
to meditate and I turned down all the stations that are playing in my head, all the things that I'm thinking about, if I'm reading a book, watching TV, talking to my friend, texting somebody, posting something, listening to music, if I turn down all of the noise at once, it
Mhm.
feels like vacation. Except, guess what?
Right.
I didn't have to get on a plane, spend $2,000 and get away. No, all I had to
Mm.
do was turn my phone over and close my eyes.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I am here for this. You mean this has been here at my fingertips my whole life? Oh
Come
my God.
on.
Right.
Okay. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. I 100% agree with you. This has been here the whole time,
The whole time.
and I started sleep meditation. I
Ooh.
guess it would be last year. For me, it's not during the day, it's at night, thinking about all of these things. And you're just like,
Mm.
Ayana, you have to go to bed. Like, you have a full day tomorrow. Like, why
Wow.
are you
Yeah.
even worried about this? So
Mm.
mine actually started with sleep meditation, just to put on
Nice.
something, and the affirmations and things at night. And then now, because of this pandemic, it has moved into just, okay, girl, you doing a lot. Go sit down for 5 minutes and meditate.
Yeah.
And yeah, it has always kind of been, it has been there for us, but we just haven't realized it.
Oh, no, not at
And
all. Like,
you're just like,
ever.
wait, this has
I'm
been
like,
here.
because the thought of it when you're not into it, it sounds weird or woo-woo, kind of like
Mm-hmm.
going to therapy sounds like, oh, I would never do that until you do
Mm-hmm.
it and you're like,
And so
oh, this feels good,
you're like,
honey.
I should have done this years ago.
I should have done this years. You mean you take my little $25 copay and we just talk about me and I don't have to feel bad? Like, oh no,
Right.
this is, you're here to solve my problem? Oh, this is not solve my problems, but
Right.
it feels good. And meditation on the outside, some like to me at least, before doing it was like, you just sit there.
Mm-hmm.
I got other things to do. I'm busy. I don't
Mm-hmm.
have the time. Well, guess what? Time happens to be elastic, which I'm realizing. Like, think about a minute with your hand on a hot stove versus a minute talking to you in this podcast. Two different things. A minute
Yes.
with you, Ayana, is not enough. A minute with my hand on a hot stove, it feels like a
Right.
lifetime. Time is
Uh-huh.
elastic. And 10 minutes, even just 10 minutes meditating, puts my
Yeah.
whole day in order. Puts my
Yes.
whole, because it starts with the mind. Everything starts with the mind. Oh,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's like
Yeah.
such a beautiful gift that I would not have slowed down enough if it wasn't for this quarantine to realize.
Yeah, I mean, you said it very eloquently. That's what it is. That is one of the gifts that has come out of this quarantine for not just us, but I think a lot of people. Okay, let me take the time to take care of myself mentally
Hmm.
and spiritually and physically, because actually this is forcing me to do it, because this virus is not, and actually, well, all of the viruses that we are experiencing now, because COVID's not the only virus we're
Hello.
experiencing, but all of the viruses we're experiencing are forcing us to be physically and mentally and spiritually just ready
Yes.
and leveling up. And
Leveling up. That is the word. Like seriously, because before this, you better believe I thought I had my spiritual game on fleek. I thought I
mhm,
did. And this was
mhm,
like,
mhm,
I don't. And now it's like, well, how can I up my mental health, self-care, overall health game in this most challenging time that is just across the
yeah.
board? I hate the word unprecedented because I've heard it a million times in
Oh my god,
2020,
I'm over
but
that
like,
word. I'm over it.
I know somebody needs to write the book called Unprecedented.
That's a new book. Somebody write it.
I hate that word because everyone's like, this unprecedented time. But it is though. Like it really
It is,
is. Like
right?
if you can up your spiritual game during this time, we're gonna be freaking bulletproof coming out of this. Bulletproof.
Okay, yes, bulletproof. Like we
Bulletproof.
are coming out bulletproof. You could, honey, throw it at me. What you got? I can take it.
Bulletproof. If I am able to figure out how to survive during a pandemic, go ahead, throw me in a Broadway show that lasts for 2 weeks. Yes, my heart will still be broken, but I'll be like, I've been here before. I know what to do
Mm-hmm.
now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
because there is nothing like looking out into the audience and seeing your audience starting to dwindle and being like, "Oh no, you know the inevitable is coming eventually," but not knowing
Right.
what you're going to do. Now it's like, "All right, I feel like a freaking pro." Like
Okay.
okay, if I can survive without Broadway right now, that means that when it comes back, it will be so much sweeter. I'll be able to enjoy it so much more.
Yeah, yeah. And actually, that's a perfect segue. So, what do you hope for and pray for and want for our industry when we do come back? What do you hope we have learned and also have put together and created so that we can show the world when we do get back?
You know, that's a big question. I do hope that like in terms of equality, I hope that like when I walk into a room that I see other people that look like me. I do
Mhm.
hope that even if I don't see other people that look like me, that I feel like it's a safe environment. That
Mhm.
like the people who are in the room make me feel like, hey, if you are feeling something, please feel encouraged to speak up and to say something. So
Mhm.
that like I hope that it just feels like a safe space. And I personally would like to stop limiting myself. Like when I go out for auditions, and my agents have tried to do this, and it's me who I'm like, oh, that's not a black role. I can't do that. Like
Mm.
to switch that. Like yes, yes you can. Yes you can. Like if it's
Right.
in your voice range or if it's in your wheelhouse of talents, like just because who the original was, happened to not look like you doesn't mean you should write yourself off. Like I do
Mhm.
hope that I'm able to expand my own view of myself and stop closing doors on myself to give
Right.
myself like, like more opportunities because some of those doors aren't being closed by other people. They're being
Mhm.
closed by me. So, I hope I can grow out of that. And I hope that like the audition processes are streamlined. I
Mhm.
like being in the room, but it would be nice if I mean, like, think about it. We spend hours traveling to waiting for, to be in the room for
Mhm.
2 minutes.
Uh-huh.
I
Uh-huh.
mean, 20 minutes if it's a good one, but
Right.
sometimes it is in and out. But the
Yeah.
prep of getting into the room has taken hours, hours. And so
Hours.
hours. And it's kind of nice. Like I feel like I'm actually able to get so much more done with everything happening on my kitchen table. Like,
Right. Right.
like I got a workout in before this podcast and a shower. And in New York, like going for a workout, that is already a moment. Like
Mhm.
going to a 12:30 class in Midtown takes me 40 minutes to get there. Got a schedule like it
Mhm.
there's and then 40 minutes back like oh but I got to eat like it takes so
Mhm.
much time to do any one activity. So
Yeah.
if it's streamlined and all online, kind of really maximizes our time.
You said it. Maximizing our time. We are really able to maximize our time.
Yeah, and for the first time, like, I went to see, my goddaughter a few weeks ago, and on my way, I needed to stop and get something, but for the first time ever, I was like, "You know what? I think I can just order that online and it will come tomorrow." So instead of me wasting 30 minutes where I could be spending with my goddaughter, I'm just gonna order that online so I can go spend more quality time with somebody
Mhm.
who I love. It's
Yeah.
like a subtle shift, but huge in terms of like what matters
Mm-hmm.
to me now.
Mm-hmm. That's great. That's great. What would you say to artists right now who are struggling to pivot? This is not easy.
Well, I'm going to say some advice that I'm still taking because even though I am in a good headspace right now, it's still
Mm-hmm.
like I still absolutely have bad days and times
Mm-hmm.
where I'm like, wait, what am I going to do? So I definitely am not exempt from this. And so when I am struggling, I take a minute and I will meditate. I'll start with meditation. Um, but I take it moment by moment because if I try to solve everything at once, it's so overwhelming. It is
Mm-hmm.
overwhelming when I start thinking about the what ifs and the negative side of the what ifs. And
Mm-hmm.
so I am more aware now if I have catastrophic thinking, I know that
Mm-hmm.
that does not help anything. It does not help me to worry. However, a good dose of if you have a good dose of fear that kicks your butt into
Mm.
action,
Right.
that is productive. But just sitting and wallowing and being afraid and worrying, it is really a rabbit hole of it is not. But when you're in that space,
Mm-hmm.
because it does happen, it does
It
happen,
does. It does. It happens to me too. Yeah.
right? I I do give myself a little grace and
Mm-hmm.
allow myself to feel the feelings because when I try to push it away, they harp on harder. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's worse. So feel the feelings, but also start game planning, even if it's like baby steps. Like I started my blog. My goal is to monetize my blog. I've not actually monetized it yet. Eventually, I would like to, but I know that it's not going to go from $0 to $1 jillion. Like just baby
Mm-hmm.
steps in the right direction because every day is going to add up. These one
Mm-hmm.
days, I got this from a musical called "This Is Treatment," written by Elizabeth Addison. She says in the musical that she wrote, those one days at a time sure do add up. Eventually, a whole bunch of time is going to have passed. So if you do a little bit each day into the direction of what you want to go into,
Mm-hmm.
it will amount to something at some point. You fill a lake one drop at a time.
Right.
So I think every little thing matters. That walk around the block matters. That I'm just
Mm-hmm.
going to write for 7 minutes matters. I'm just going to call up somebody who I need to mend something with. These little things in the right direction matter. So I would say it's the little things and to pay attention to the little things. And when things are overwhelming, really take it moment to moment.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your story and just being open. And the last thing that I want to say to you before I let you go is that I acknowledge you, I celebrate you, and I uplift you.
Yes. And I claim that. Thank you, girl.
You're welcome,
You
sis.
really
You're
are a light,
welcome.
Ayana.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Salisha, thank you so much. You're right. The present moment we have is such a gift, and discovering meditation is definitely like a vacation. I encourage anyone listening to take it one step at a time, one note at a time, or one page at a time. Thank you again, Salisha, and thank you for tuning in. I'll speak to you soon.